Welcome back here to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. We apologize we couldn't get to everyone, but, well, we've heard Joe Turney's story quite a bit, so let's see him as he brings our field down. It is time for the X30 Pro Division presented by Speed Concepts Racing. Joe Turney has been phenomenal all weekend long. Ryan Norberg started with a pole in qualifying and a heat win, but as the weekends progressed, it seems like the advantage has gone the way of the Kart Republic. Everybody else has been chasing these two for the last 9 months, it feels like. There's been hot spurts. Harley Keeble was close a couple of times in Orlando and in Utah. This weekend, he said this morning after warm-up, he feels a little bit better. Moving back from Harley Keeble, Diego Ramos has looked like the third best car all weekend long alongside Alessandro Di Tullio in a bit of a tie. And Diego Ramos, to his credit, has only looked third best because he hasn't been close enough off the start to be to the top two. He qualified sixth, had to start on the outside row each time, and had to drive forward. Blake Nash qualified good, but it hasn't looked like his race pace is stacked up to his single lap speed. He rolls off on the row number 3, and then back alongside him, Alessandro Di Tullio, who had a mixed bag of results in the heats, but had a lot of speed. He was third best last time out for the Pro National calendar. The rest of the field is coming together for Franklin Motorsports X30 Pro. For the first time ever, the US Pro Kart Series is here at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Who is going to get the first win on the new racetrack? Joe Turney, Ryan Norberg. X30 Pro is underway, and look at Diego Ramos up the middle. Norberg, a very slow start down to turn 1. He gets absolutely swallowed by the field, Randy.
Norberg got shuffled all the way back to 5th through that start. Diego Ramos was ready to pounce, and boy, he pumped it when the green flag flew. He took off down the middle, went 3 wide. Next thing you know, he's chasing down Joe Turney for the top spot. So a great start by Diego Ramos.
Ryan Norberg is still way back. He's outside the top 15 now, all the way behind Cooper Shipman. I don't know what misfired for the Ralston Performance Group Cosmic driver. He looks okay now, just ahead of Brandon Lemke. That changes everything. As off the racetrack is Hayden Jones, big off for the 316. But what changes now is while Ryan Norberg was the guy to battle Joe Turney, these guys are going to try and shuffle Turney to the rear. Harley Keeble down the inside. Here comes Blake Nash to the outside down the front straightaway. Turney back to third. He'll push Keeble forward. Harley Keeble probably going to low line it here in turn 2 as well. Ramos to third. No, Turney underneath Keeble. He gets through for the lead. Ramos trying to go for second. Keeble still there on the outside in 3. He runs Ramos wide. Harley Keeble, Diego Ramos all the way into the dirt. And Keeble gets back to second. Turney gets the lead again.
My, how things can change from one day to the next. This is a completely different appearance to what we had yesterday in the heat races. We have got wide open right now. This is anybody's race.
Now, how good is Harley Keeble? How good is Alessandro Di Tullio? This is the biggest lead Joe Turney's seen so far here in the opening couple laps as Henry Wheeler gets shuffled wide. They're still battling behind them, but for the top 3, they have to be perfect right now. And Joe Turney knows that. He knows he needs to be perfect. If he can build that gap and get them to give up on chasing him and fight for second, he's home free for the next 15 laps or so. 2 complete, 18 to go. It's Turney, Keeble, Di Tullio, Nash, Paulie Massimino into the top 5 on the BJR MDR LN card. And a big mistake from Harley Keeble. He dropped a tire there coming out of turn number 1. Nearly lost it into the corner. Good save, but not what you needed to happen. Like I said, he's got to be flawless. That was a flaw right there.
Update on Ryan Norberg all the way back to 13th, trying to climb his way back up to the front. It's not going to be that easy. There's some really strong competition ahead of him. Joe Turney with about a half a second advantage right now.
Harley Keeble looks like he is tracking him down this lap. Even with that mistake, though, I'll give the Brits some credit, and Ryan Norberg as well. While it looked like he might have just maybe bogged the engine off the start, he's driving pretty solidly through the field. Here comes Blake Nash for third as Di Tullio washes wide. Brandon Carr gets through on Paulie Massimino. Diego Ramos is still trapped there in 7th, but Harley Keeble, as he mentioned in his pre-race interview, he feels better today than he has all weekend with his PK Sport Sodi factory machine. And through turn 1, further back, Diego Ramos trying to make up ground from getting shuffled off the racetrack. He gets through on Massimino. That's for P6. Diego Ramos has also been quick and has looked good all 3 days. Dario Vizzaro, a bump and run to Paulie Massimino in turn 6. I want to watch that here in turn number 4. Let's see, does Massimino get him back? He sends him off the racetrack. Yeah, well, welcome to the big leagues, Dario Vizzaro. That stuff's probably not going to fly. Massimino. That was, well, that's some old school racing, I think, right there, Randy. That was, you're going to throw a rock at me, well, you're getting a boulder right back.
When you put yourself out to knock somebody else out, that's commitment.
Yep.
And obviously it cost him the race, but he figured, you know what, I'm not going to stand for that. So Paulie Massimino responds to what happened in a few turns earlier. So a wild one in the back of the pack, but for both drivers now, they're certainly out of contention.
And all credit to Massimino. That's not the first time him and Dario Vizzaro have had a run-in this weekend. Isidoro Vizzaro.
Brandon Carr with a solid run out there. He's advanced 5 spots, started in 10th, he's up to 5th.
Yeah, Dario Vizzaro and Paulie Massimino, they got into it yesterday, and that's what sent Massimino back is Harley Keeble wants the lead. Harley Keeble to the point. Blake Nash gets through for second in both drivers' best sessions so far this weekend. Joe Turney is back to third, and this is amazing news for Ryan Norberg, who is 3.5 seconds away in 8th. So down through the left-handed sweeper, it's Harley Keeble for the first time this weekend, leading the way in X30 Pro. Could he sweep the main events in senior single-speed categories? That would be spectacular for the PK Sports Sodi Group. As they head onto the front stretch, we're still early on, 5 down, 15 to go. And behind the top 3, it's close. It's DeTulio, Brandon Carr, who's been silent all weekend, and Diego Ramos, and the fastest driver on the racetrack, it's the man in 8th. Ryan Norberg is quickest, a 56.343. Everyone is tight and together. The easy-going heat races that Diego Ramos thought might be the case for the mains, not the case at all, Randy. We are fighting here on Sunday.
Ryan Norberg now has closed in a 2.5-second gap from where he is now up to the front. He's going to catch that lead group, and it really become part of the party in about a lap or two. So Ryan Norberg right back into the mix, as is Diego Ramos, but Harley Keeble right now trying to hang on. Blake Nash and Joe Turney right there. Norberg continues to be the fastest on the racetrack.
Brandon Carr down the inside and clear on Alessandro DeTulio. He's up 6 spots on the Ryan Perry Motorsport Tony Kart. New life for Brandon Carr after a mistake in qualifying put him in the midfield, and then some wrecks in the heat races put him down the order. He's up 6 spots from 10th, and a big mistake from Nick Terlecki in 7th. He nearly loses the back end out of turn number 1. Here comes flying Ryan Norberg, Mr. 7-time, a car length back now to turn number 4.
Ryan Norberg continues on the charge. Every lap gets a little bit closer to that top spot. He just went purple with a 65.116.
Whoa, what a move from Blake Nash for the lead. And Turney and Keeble bang tires. Keeble holds on to second.
Those little S corners there get awfully narrow when they're too wide, and they found room, but they didn't do it without a little contact, but everybody kept it headed in the right direction.
The Californian Blake Nash has never won an X30 Pro main event before. He's looking for it here today. Harley Keeble has won a bunch of KA races. He wants his first X30 win as well this year. And Turney is just trapped behind these two young guns, trying to find an opening to get himself back out to the lead. After a slow start for the Kart Republic driver, furl black flags flying. Keeble nearly sideways under braking in turn 1. There's 6 cars lined up down to the hairpin, and Norberg getting through on Terlecki for 7th. It's 8 drivers in the lead pack. Harley Keeble commands them into 4. Turney, wow, down the inside on Blake Nash. He gets 2nd.
And this is right into the hands of Ryan Norberg. The old saying, the race will come back to you. Well, the race is coming back to Ryan Norberg. Fastest kart in the racetrack right now. He's trying to close in on Diego Ramos and make his way around Diego. If he does that, he's going to be chipping away at that top 5.
Harley Keeble took 2 looks back to double check and did a double take that Joe Turney was the guy behind him, and instantly he starts to go to the low side. Turney knows it's coming. He's trying to find a way around his fellow countrymen. Harley Keeble spent a lot of his junior and mini career looking up to Joe Turney and the likes of him and Oliver Hodgson racing over in England. And now he's racing against some of his childhood heroes, and he is trying to keep one of them behind him with a vengeance. Joe Turney, a little love tap in turn number 1. Keeble still low-lining everybody on the bottom side through turn number 2. And the downside of going that far low, they're on the dirty part of the racetrack. Someone's going to make a mistake. When's it going to happen? Turn 4. Look at Nick Terlecki around the outside trying to get 7th, and he does, back from Norberg.
Unbelievable racing out there. Those top 7 to 8 drivers, all nose to tail. And that looks like Terlecki slips to the inside, tries to make the pass, can't quite do it. But just now we've got about 3 or 4 in the second group. Mesa, Garrison, and Wheeler, and they've closed in. It's about a 12-card breakaway.
So let's see. Keeble still low, but now they've spread apart just for the moment. Norberg getting himself back around Terlecki with a good move. And he's back into the 7th position. Into the right-handed corner, coming out. Keeble now side by side, back behind. That's Ramos versus DeTulio. Diego's got to get back in line. He quickly does right before Ryan Norberg is able to stick the nose there. Keeble blocks slow again, really parking it on the bottom side. Everybody, look at Brandon Carr. He sends it around the outside on Blake Nash. He'll get to 3rd, and DeTulio to 4th.
What a pass around outside of turn 2 by Brandon Carr. Didn't think you could do it, but he did it. Unbelievable move by Brandon Carr.
This is just blocking until the field spreads apart. Harley Keeble, I don't think he's going to take it off the low side. Joe Turney trying to get creative. Went high, still on the outside. He's still there. Joe Turney to the lead into the S's.
That's a pass we haven't seen all weekend. Around the outside for 2 corners, gets to the S's, and he's got the line. Great move by Joe Turney.
Alessandro DeTulio off the racetrack as Brandon Carr got down the inside. Henry Wheeler gets through. Diego Ramos to 3rd, and now Harley Keeble. He blocked for many laps because he knew how quick Joe Turney could be. He's got to try and find a way back around him before Turney gets away. Ramos finally back up to 3rd. The downside is the fastest guy all race, Ryan Norberg, is behind him, and he's going to look to take that spot. Watch this. Turn 1, turn 2, the number 1 to the inside. He gets through on Ramos.
Ryan Norberg with a beautiful move to the inside, waited to the last moment.
Oh, Brandon Carr, Blake Nash, side by side with Austin Garrison. 3 wide out of turn 2, and they both go into the wall. Carr and Nash are done. Brandon Carr, 2nd in the points coming into today. He's going to lose a lot of positions as now Austin Garrison, a little bump and run to Henry Wheeler as he takes over the 5th spot. Austin Garrison has had an abysmal weekend, and finally here on Sunday, he's turning it up in the Speed Concepts Racing Red Speed.
Well, this is shaping up to a heck of a finish right now as Ryan Norberg and Diego Ramos are in a 2-car draft. Ramos a little bit back. He's got to get closer to really help Norberg, but they're closing in a little bit quicker, I think, than Turney and Keeble. Within a few laps, we could see Norberg up to that lead group, and who knows at that point what could happen, but Norberg remains the fastest car in the racetrack.
Yeah, Ryan Norberg, that time by, granted he made a pass, so he lost some time. The gap, 1.4 seconds. Mr. 7-time, Ryan Norberg, the 2-time reigning US Pro Kart Series champion, is looking to finally break through and get his first win of 2023. It's been the longest winless streak he has had since 2016, dating all the way back to the Miami Grand National Championship in October of 2022 was the last time Ryan Norberg saw victory lane. It's been nearly a full season for a driver that won, I believe, over 14 times in 2022. To think he hasn't gotten a single win this year is a little bit crazy, but that just shows how competitive the class has gotten and also how good Joe Turney has been. 7 wins in 2023 for JT. Coming to 8 to go this time, Norberg looks like he's gaining visibly. Let's look at the lap chart here as they cross the line. Turney crosses. He'll put in a 56.8. Keeble a 56.7. Ryan Norberg a 56.4. He was 4/10 better than the race leader.
He gained about 4/10. You can see it on the racetrack, too. He'll be in the draft to Harley Keeble within a lap or two, and then it becomes a 3-car battle. And if they start racing, Diego Ramos could get reeled back in. Right now, Ramos is out of the mix, but Norberg closes in as those first 2, Turney and Keeble, still run nose to tail. They do not want to go too wide just yet because Norberg is going to close in even quicker if they do.
Harley Keeble kind of represents the rest of the field here in 2023 right now. He might be seeing a little bit of red and just thinking if it's Norberg or if it's Turney, I've got to dive bomb them, pass them, put them behind me. But realistically, from the outside, his best chance at winning this one is when Ryan Norberg gets around him, he follows him and lets Norberg go to work on Joe Turney. Because Harley Keeble, you saw how viciously he defended. It was all clean within the rule book, but very aggressive and very early defensive driving from Harley Keeble to try and keep Joe Turney back until Turney got him around the outside. Further back, here's a nice battle. This is Noah Baker working on a driver further away in turn 2. While the leaders are all the way up the road in 4, it's Ramos by himself in 4th. Austin Garrison also, by the way, pretty quick in 5th. That time he was just about a 10th off of the leaders. He was even to Diego Ramos, running just ahead of Nicholas Terlecki, who has had a pretty impressive weekend as well. Very good weekend for Nick Terlecki and only a handful of 125 Pro Division starts.
You know, he's not gaining much every lap, but he's gaining enough. And with 7 laps to go, 6 laps next time by, Ryan Norberg is now within about 3 kart lengths of Harley Keeble. Harley Keeble trying to figure a way to get around Turney, so he's got Turney as a buffer. But right now the buffer is Harley Keeble, and Ryan Norberg is going to be knocking on the door in the next lap.
We saw what Harley Keeble was capable of, what he was willing to do, the lengths he was willing to go to in that KA100 Senior main event moments ago. He will throw everything at it to try and get a main event win. He got one already. What is he willing to do against Joe Turney and Ryan Norberg? Because it's going to be a three-way fight coming to 5 to go. They're all together. What a battle here on Sunday for X30 Pro. Joe Turney leads the way as they head to the S's.
Unbelievable charge by Ryan Norberg. Got shuffled back on the start all the way to the rear of the field. Worked his way back through and has now got to the rear bumper of Harley Keeble. And I don't imagine he's going to be too patient with only 5 laps to go next time by. He's going to want to get around Keeble and start sizing up Joe Turney.
Whoa, what a move by Keeble. Harley Keeble sent it on the inside. He looked back. He saw Norberg was coming. He dive bombed Turney. Now Norberg is almost clear. He is clear. Ryan Norberg to second. Harley Keeble leads the way with 5 to go.
To the outside and now back to the inside. Boy, early protection there by Harley Keeble. I don't know if he wants to get defensive just yet, but Norberg right there waiting for an opening. Norberg's not going to wait. He wants to get around Keeble and see if he can pull away.
Harley Keeble doing what he did earlier. Got to the lead, and he's going to low line it and park it on the apex. Do either of the veterans try anything crazy? Joe Turney's going high and low. He's got to cross over Norberg. He'll get back into second. Norberg back to third. Nothing Norberg could do. He was kind of put in a box in the middle. It's now Turney's turn to try and get creative with Keeble. He's done it once. Can he do it again? Down the back straightaway. Here comes Diego Ramos. Austin Garrison and Nick Terlecki are on the way as well as they head to the new section. Keeble on the low side is going to see 4 to go at the line. Look at Turney. Crossover, not enough. Same for Norberg. Here's Ramos as well. He's hungry. Diego Ramos hasn't won since February of 2022.
Diego Ramos, who was about 2 seconds back when all this started, has now taken advantage of the 2-wide racing. And Ramos slips to the inside trying to make the pass on Norberg. Can't quite do it, but Ramos and Norberg side by side for third.
Norberg fends off Ramos, says, please work with me, please go forward. Turney gets a little bit of a gap. Now he can open up and try to set Harley up for an over-under. Watch this down to turn number 6. Joe Turney, deep, high, over-under. Now around the outside again. He's off the racetrack. Joe Turney all the way back to 6 now. Keeble holds the lead, and it's Norberg up into second.
Austin Garrison and Nick Terlecki now to the top 5 as they're
Norberg nearly got underneath Keeble, and Keeble swerved to block. Didn't realize Norberg was there. It's now Austin Garrison to third, Ramos into second.
This is not over yet. In fact, we've got about 10 karts, well, really about 12, because all this side-by-side bumping and bagging has caused the field to just clump together. It is anybody's race. 3 to go this time by, and Harley Keeble trying to hang on. Diego Ramos worked his way back up to second now, but it is by far not over.
Norberg is P5, trying to work his way around Nick Terlecki. Austin Garrison's got a little gap. Ramos goes a little bit low to block. Harley Keeble finally gets off the inside now that he's shuffled Joe Turney and Ryan Norberg down the pack. Diego Ramos was not fast enough to keep up with Harley Keeble before. And oh man, Elio Meza, big hip check into the side of Paulie Massimino, trying to get underneath a driver behind him and overcooked it. 2 to go. Ryan Norberg once again fastest on the racetrack. Same story as 1 month ago, but unfortunately with the way this has transpired, Harley Keeble might have gotten away with one here because he's 2 car lengths up on Ramos and pulling away from him and Austin Garrison. It'll be 2 to go this time. Diego Ramos trying to get a first win in over a year and a half. Harley Keeble, his first X30 Pro win on the line. 2 to go.
And Diego Ramos may wait one more lap because if they start going side by side, they'll bring more to the party. I think it would be smart for Ramos, whether he does it or not, it would be smart for Ramos to wait till that last lap and then get aggressive, because if he gets too aggressive now and they start bumping and grinding, he's going to bring everybody else back. Right now they've got about a half a second gap, which is about 10 kart lengths on third place Austin Garrison. And I think they can stay that way, are quick enough to do that if they don't race each other till that last lap.
Joe Turney's gotten back up to 6. Him, Ryan Norberg, and Nick Terlecki are in an all-out brawl right now. Alessandro DeTulio's there. Look at that slick over-under by Joe Turney on Norberg. Both of them are probably looking at each other like, man, this is just frustrating. And as they run behind Terlecki for 4th. Meanwhile, Keeble is headed to the white flag. Diego Ramos is a car length and a half away. Harley Keeble needs one more perfect lap. Diego Ramos needs a mistake out of him. The battle is back for fourth, and it's up for the win if Ramos can get there. Down to turn number 2.
Diego Ramos has to make his move now. It won't be but about 3/4 of a lap till that checkered flag comes out, and Ramos is there. He is ready to pounce. Not quite close under there as they hit the left-hander and now head back down. A little bit of a lazy-ass corner there. They'll make their right-hander and then head up through the kink. And Harley Keeble comfortable with about a 2 kart length advantage over Diego Ramos. If Ramos is going to do something, it's got to happen now as they work the back part of this course. And it's almost no time left for Diego Ramos. Harley Keeble now pretty comfortable with that 2 kart length advantage. No mistakes by Keeble as they round the corner one last time, headed for the stripe. Harley Keeble by about 2 kart lengths over Diego Ramos.
Final time, down the straightaway. Harley Keeble sweeps the senior classes, and he scores his first career X30 Pro main event win. Harley Keeble wins in Cincinnati over Diego Ramos and Austin Garrison from 19th. 19th, that's right, 16 positions gained for Austin Garrison. Ryan Norberg and Joe Turney, as they drove by Harley Keeble, they both shook their head. They are not happy with the young kid, the 16-year-old out of the United Kingdom. And there is a congratulations from Alessandro DiTullio saying, man, good job. There's the congrats from Paulie Massimino. Diego Ramos gives him a congrats as well. The rest of the field, they knew that they probably would have had to do the same thing Harley did to keep Joe Turney and Ryan Norberg from winning this race. And while Joe and Ryan may be in agreement that they're frustrated, that's Harley Keeble kind of representing everyone that they've been whooping up on over the last 6 months. So an aggressive X30 Pro main and a completely shaken up podium. It's Harley Keeble on top over Ramos, who gets a massive boost in the championship standings. Diego Ramos trying to get his first career US X30 Pro national title. He led by a slim margin over Brandon Carr coming into this week. With Brandon Carr crashing out, that's going to be a huge points lead for Diego Ramos with another podium, one of the most consistent drivers in the 2023 season in second. And again, for Austin Garrison to get third and just kind of avoid all that chaos after the weekend that he has had, that is super, super cool to see. There you see Ryan Norberg and Joe Turney talking to each other. They're in the same book right now. They both kind of got the short end of the stick in the way that race played out with all the battling, all the shuffling. And how about Nicholas Terlecki on the Holtz Driver Development Tony Kart, his third ever X30 Pro Division start. He spent a lot of years running K100 Senior, and as he's moved up into this class, he said this weekend, he's like, I'm trying to be competitive with these guys, take what it'll give me, but also earn some respect. And a fourth place result, I think he pretty much stayed out of trouble. That was a really good run for Nick, coming from 13th on the grid. Congratulations, Nicholas Terlecki.